I'm Amanda, the ever hopeful gardener, and I am super passionate about composting. Today, I'm going to take you with me to do a hot compost flip, and I'll be adding a Bokashi bucket to the pile in an attempt to get the temperatures back up. Let's talk about what makes for a good thermophilic, meaning hot, compost pile. You've got your 4 ingredients: your browns, your greens, your air, and your water. You also have to think about size. The minimum size to get your pile into that thermophilic temperature range is 3 feet wide by 3 feet deep by 3 feet tall, so 9 cubic feet. When thinking about browns to add to your pile, some great sources of browns are carbon-heavy materials like wood chips, fall leaves. They're best when shredded, trust me. I like to use wood chips in my hot compost piles. I get truckload deliveries for free using the app Chip Drop, and they work really well for me. But leaves also work great. Some other sources of brown are paper and cardboard and anything that has dried, like garden clippings that have then become dry. So corn stalks that have dried out. Those are good sources of brown. Your greens are your nitrogen heavy inputs. Think kitchen scraps, used coffee grounds, green garden clippings from your garden, Bokashi ferment. Those are all high in nitrogen. You also need air. And this is where the shredded leaves make a difference, because unshredded leaves typically will mat down and create a reduced airflow situation in your pile. You can increase your air in your pile by periodically turning the pile, completely flipping it from its current spot to a new one. That's going to infuse it with air. Water is another important ingredient. The microbes that are doing all the breaking down and causing the heat, they need water for their life cycle. They cannot do what they do without it. I like to add rainwater to my pile, but before we had the rain barrels hooked up, I would also use regular hose water, and it's just fine. But I do think the microbes prefer non-chlorinated water. Today we're in the backyard and we are going to flip the compost and add a Bokashi bucket to it. I've taken the top layer off of the pile I'm turning, and using my pitchfork, I have moved it into the empty bin to become the bottom of the new pile. Here's the Bokashi bin, the DIY Bokashi bin that I will be adding today. You can see it was closed on December 12th, and we have passed the 3-week mark. Today is December 31st. What we're looking for is white fluffy mold, this is good, and a vinegar pickle smell as opposed to a rotting food smell. Smells like vinegar. Typically I will mix my Bokashi bucket in a wheelbarrow with part of the current compost pile. Mix it up and then add it in layers as I'm turning. My husband's using the wheelbarrow today, so we're just going to take contents out of the bin and put them directly in the pile in layers. I am finding lots of worms, and the reason is because my pile was hot but has cooled down to the 60-70 degree range, which is an ideal range for these guys, so they're very happy. When this pile starts heating up, they're going to move to the bottom of the pile where the temperatures are not quite so hot, because worms do not love the thermophilic temperatures of a hot compost pile, the 131 to 150, 160 degree range. Here's something else. This is part of compostable packaging that I tore up and added to the pile. Hasn't degraded a ton yet. You'll notice I'm not adding any water as I turn the pile, and this is because it seems quite wet. Let's do a quick moisture test. I'm going to take a handful of the pile, and I'm going to squeeze, and what I want to see are 1 to 2 drops of water. That's ideal. If no water comes out, the pile could use some water. And if a lot more than 1 or 2 drops come out, then I know my pile is too wet, and turning it, adding air will help. And I could also add more browns, like more wood chips or more fall leaves. Well, so I thought it was too wet, but I'm not getting any water out of it. So let's go hook up the hose to the rain barrel. I have 2 DIY Bokashi buckets. This one has holes on the bottom and can drain the leachate into a bottom bucket without holes. The other one I have does not have holes, and it works just fine. I was testing out the 2 different methods. I prefer the one without holes. So all of this which does not smell good, will get poured on the pile. And then I will use rainwater from the rain barrels to rinse this bucket out after I put another layer on. And I want a few more greens to add to it. I keep a bucket of used coffee grounds, and I'm going to add some of these as a green input, a nitrogen input. It's around 50, 51 degrees today. We'll put this in the pile, and within the next 72 hours, I will expect the temperature to get at least above 120.